With an extremely well-timed nod to a great Scottish achievement in New York overnight, the Tour of Britain has nipped over the border, or rather thundered up the M6 in a convoy of trucks, and we've arrived in the Borders, where Mark Cavendish, as well as tens of thousands of spectators along the route, will be hoping that the world champion gets his first win at the third time of asking. Gone was the sunshine, Nottingham threatened wind and rain. The hills loomed large, 3 Category 1 climbs in the first half of this 180-kilometre stage, mastered entirely by Pablo Ortasun, one of a 6-man breakaway which was never really allowed to fly. Jack Bobridge and Pete Williams tried to get away as the inevitable catch loomed, but they were caught, and Marcin Biablocki had a dig too, before it all came together with Team Sky on the front.
Here comes Mark Cavendish. Oh, he's beaten into second place. So second place to Mark Cavendish. What a finish that was.
Lee Howard was the day's winner, as was, after some confusion, Boy van Poppel. His reward for another top 3 finish, the race lead. Well, what a good day that was for Orica Greenedge. Not only did Lee Howard get himself a stage win, but Jack Bobridge, who was in the break, won the Combativity Prize and earned himself a regional cheese, which is what the winner of that gets, Matt. You'd be happy with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, as long as it was a Wednesday, Dale.
Fair enough. So, Team Sky, a confused picture for them on their stage yesterday. 2 aims, one of which was to defend the leader's jersey, but also to get Mark Cavendish a stage win. What went wrong?
I think given the technical nature of the finish, there was hardly any margin for error at all. And I know reading reports, Mark braked on the final left-hander, lost some momentum, couldn't get back on Luke's wheel, so decided to cut his losses and drop back into the line, save a bit of energy, because we all know Mark likes to leave it till quite late. But unfortunately, it just mistimed it and obviously let the Orica Greenedge rider in for the win.
Yeah, the margin wasn't great in the end, but it wasn't a win. And also, Luke Rowe, just by being gapped by a second, put himself out of the frame there for the lead overall. So, not a great day. They had 2 targets and came away with nothing.
No, but I think they'll bounce back. I mean, it just shows, the finish yesterday, extremely technical. You've got to fight, even for 10th, 11th, 12th place, you've got to fight to hold the other rider's wheel. And the judges have a rule to apply. They applied it, and that second gap was there. So, very unfortunate, but again, they'll be back at the drawing board, and we'll see how they attack the yellow jersey today. And
just briefly, the guy who's in the lead at the moment, the boy van Poppel, yeah. He's a considerable rider, isn't he, in his own way?
He is, as we said before, he comes from very good stock, and I believe he beat Mark Cavendish back in 2008. So he's no slouch at all. And again, doesn't look like a classic sprinter either. No. Quite a tall, rangy guy, yeah. Which he may be suited to these climbs today.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll see how it goes today. It should indeed be a sprinter's stage. One thing's for sure, though, the crowds will be out in huge numbers again.
You can really tell that the people of Britain are really picking up the sport, and I think the success of the Olympics and Bradley at the Tour de France obviously has helped. And the crowds the first day were, it was a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and they were just, it was mad. You come into a little village and there'd be 2,000-3,000 people there, and it was pretty impressive.
Since the tour, I've been pretty good supported by the British fans. So yeah, I feel well here.
Going down towards my home stage and everything, there's people I know you want to put on a show as well, and just lifts you a bit, getting that support rather than just being out there alone,
Well, stage 3 offers those spectators some spectacular vantage points to view the action. It's another hilly day for the Tour of Britain peloton as they move through Scotland. Once again, 3 categorised climbs punctuate the opening half of the day's action, followed by a flatter second part, which should favour the fast men, including Mark Cavendish, who won the stage into Dumfries last year. Scotland's stunning landscapes provide the backdrop for stage 3. For the second year in succession, the Scottish Borders and Dumfries and Galloway offer a challenging route that will take the riders through some of the most remote roads on this year's tour. It's a great advert for cycling in Scotland, and one that organisers hope will boost Edinburgh's chances of hosting a Tour de France Grand Départ.
Tour de France is something that's been a target of ours for a long time. We've been working very closely with a number of partners over here, trying to get the race here. A Grand Départ in Edinburgh is something that I think we've sold very well to the ASO.
Well, today's stage is in some ways, Matt, not dissimilar to tomorrow's, in that the 3 climbs come fairly early on, so that may not influence the outcome of the stage. But tell me about that first intermediate sprint. That could be interesting.
Yeah, it comes after only a couple of miles, and obviously with Boy van Poppel being a very good sprinter, and the guys just behind him being very good sprinters. You've got Russell Downing, Mark Cavendish, Lee Howard, all there. I think we'll see a very, very, keenly contested hotspot. But then we go into the hills. a couple of first cats and a second cat climb, and then a gently rolling run-in. So, you know, I think a break might go after about 15-20 miles. It'll settle down. It'll be interesting to see how United Healthcare ride it, but I have a feeling we could see another bunch kick today.
Things do get pretty lumpy at the second half of this tour. Today and tomorrow, possibly Mark Cavendish's best chances for a stage win.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to bet definitely there's going to be a bunch kick, but yeah, there's two stages for sure that Mark can win. Then we get into the really, really hilly terrain in Devon and South Wales, and obviously the final stage in Guildford is extremely hilly. So yeah, 2 more stages for the sprinters.
Okay, not a breath of wind, beautiful sunshine, as you can see here in Jedburgh. Let's get out and join your race commentators, Rob Hales and Hugh Porter.
Today's stage will take the riders from the pretty town of Jedburgh to Dumfries, a distance of 152 kilometres, and there are 3 more brutish climbs to be tackled in the Skoda King of the Mountains, and they all come in the first 63 kilometres of this stage of the Tour of Britain. Looking at the classification leaders there, the IG Markets gold jersey on the shoulders of Boy Van Poppel of United Healthcare, the Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey being worn by Russell Downing of Enduro Racing, and the Skoda King of the Mountains, Pablo Utterson of Euskaltel Enschede. And the Jodel Sprints competition, well, that belongs to the Node 4 Giordano racing man, Peter Williams. So ahead of them today, a very tough stage, Rob, and at the end, highly technical.
It is a tough day. It's reasonably short compared to the previous 2 stages, only 152 kilometres, but we do have those 3 categorised climbs in that first 63 kilometres, 2 first category climbs and a second category climb. But we do, at 10 kilometres, have the first sprint. Right, they're heading towards the first Jodel sprint of the day, and the team that are looking after the leader, Williams, doing a perfect job here. This is Node 4 Giordano, and they are leading it out perfectly. Yeah, Matt Cronshaw, he's got himself up there. Here we can see the 1 kilometre to go now to the sprint.
On the outskirts of Hoyk, here in Roxburghshire.
It looks like Mark Cavendish here on the left-hand side, also getting in on the action. He's trying to lead out Luke Rowe by the looks of it.
The reason he's going to have a crack here, though, Rob, we mustn't forget there's also 3 seconds, 2 seconds and 1 second on the line for the sprint here. And let us not forget that Mark Cavendish is 5th overall at 4 seconds behind the IG Markets gold jersey. So if he wins this and gets the 3-second bonus, he will have closed down significantly on the race leader. Just been squeezed back a little bit here, but is that going to be the game plan then for Cavendish? The gold jersey holder Van Poppel is in the wheel of Cavendish, and I think that is exactly what is happening.
Luke Rowe also only 1 second down on that gold jersey.
Here he comes then, Mark Cavendish looking for the 3-second bonus, which will take him to within 1 second of the overall leader, Boy Van Poppel. There's a change, he's swung over, and here comes the gold jersey holder, and it is Boy Van Poppel looking for a 3-second bonus, but he's going to be denied it because the rider on the left from Sky takes it.
Luke Rowe there takes the 3-second time bonus.
3 seconds then for Luke Rowe. He started 1 second behind Boy Van Poppel, but it looked like Boy Van Poppel was second there, so he will get the 2 seconds. Luke Rowe, the former leader of this tour, on the left of our screen. On the right, it's Boy Van Poppel. 3 seconds is going to go to Luke Rowe, and the 2 seconds goes to Boy Van Poppel. So it means that Luke Rowe has gained a second there on the overall leader, so it means that they are now tying as joint leaders on the road, and those two of course will not affect the Jodel Sprint competition because they are not in the first 5 overall. But that was a thrilling sprint, and I first of all thought that it was Mark Cavendish that was going to try and get the time bonuses to elevate him up, but what he did was a good job in actually setting it up for Luke Rowe. Meanwhile, at the head of the race, this could be the defining moment. 5 riders have now distanced themselves from the front of the peloton, and among them, the man in black there is Christian House, who rides for the Rafa Conda team. Now, he's smarting, actually, because he started out yesterday as the overall leader of the King of the Mountains, but he had that lead taken away from him. 3 big climbs to come, 2 first cat and a second, so a lot to go for. Welcome back as we are just approaching the start of the first climb of the day at Roberton. It's a first category affair, and we have the 5 riders established in the lead here. Pete Williams of Node 4 Giordano, Wesley Creeder, Vacances Soleil, Peter Hawkins of IG Sigma Sport, Christian House of Rafaconda, and Bernie Salzberger of Rally GAC. Now the situation here is that the man in black, and that is Christian House, he's smarting from losing the King of the Mountains competition yesterday, and this is a perfect opportunity for him to cut back the deficit that he trails the leader, and that is Urtasun of Spain.
Yes, 8 points behind Urtasun at the moment, and Urtasun's stuck back in the peloton at the moment. But the other rider here from Rally GAC, Bernie Salzberger, he's out there looking after, trying to take points as well, because his teammate Russell Hampton is in second place at the moment.
Just caught a glimpse of the summit there. There's a big crowd gathered waiting for the arrival then of the race, but the man of course here who is the danger man in this break that's gone clear is Peter Hawkins, the Irishman, because he's 10th overall and he's only 11 seconds back on the leader of the race.
Yep, so the peloton will be looking out for him, really trying to bring this break back later on when it comes down to a sprint.
So 2 minutes 25 seconds the advantage now for the 5 who are getting nearer to the summit of this climb of 1.5 kilometres. And of course Christian House very conscious of the fact that this can be a profitable move for him.
This is a first category climb, the first one of the day, and we can see the riders here in the small ring, quite laboured. It's fairly steep. It's not ridiculous here, but it's quite a long, steep climb, and we can see the crowds here just closing in on the road.
And the reason that they've established a lead of 2 minutes and 25 is there's 5 different teams represented here, so they've been more than happy to share the workload evenly. Now Christian House at the front here, not the best position if he's going to sprint from there, because the others can see what he has in mind, but he looks as though he's just dancing on the pedals, and now he looks back. Is this where House is going to go? Yes, it is. Christian House then going for the long one here, looking for the 10 points, and there's a reaction from the Australian. That's Bernard Salzberger riding for the Rally GAC team. And Salzberger's got the better sprinting finish. He gets the 10 at the top, and the 9 going to Christian House.
And yeah, that was a good move there by Salzberger, giving himself 10 points in there, but also helping to protect his teammate Hampton.
And the interesting thing now is we have to wait for the arrival of the bunch as we once again see the effort of the 2 that lunge for the line. Salzberger getting the 10 points, Christian House getting the 9. OK, we have to wait for the arrival of the peloton now, because the points at stake are for 6th. Remember, 5 clear. There are points for the first 10 at the top of a first category mounted. So Pablo Urtasun, the Spaniard, if he wants to limit the gains of Christian House of Rafaconda, needs to try and win this bunch sprint.
Well, over race radio we're getting confirmation that there are a few riders just nipping off the front of the peloton here, but we can't see it at the moment. Is Urtasun there? Is he going for those points?
Well, if Pablo Urtasun wants to limit the gains of Christian House, then he has got to be one of the riders that has jumped clear. This is very, very important, this first climb of the day. And there's evidence of just how strong the wind is, and I can tell you that the temperatures dropped dramatically today. Well, here comes the result. There we are. Pablo Urtasun got the bunch sprint, so he's got 5 points. So now he only leads Christian House by 4. Look at this countryside. Bleak, very hard racing territory. Nowhere, of course, to get any respite. There is the start of the second of the King of the Mountains for today. This is the ascent of Firestone Edge. And it is quite a long drag, this one, just like the first one. Absolutely perfect racing conditions today. It did a little bit of a sting in the air with the temperature, but the wind quite favourable, and the roads lovely and dry. As we're looking at Christian Nace here, one of the big workhorses for the Sky team, the 31-year-old German. It's almost out of character to see him at the back, because he's always perched on the front of the peloton, Rob.
He is. He's gone back to the car, I would imagine, to try and get information from the director sportif, just to find out exactly what's going on, what the time check, exactly what they want them to do, and when they want Team Sky to start to take up the chase. And these riders can afford to put every single thing they can into the top end of this climb, especially for Christian House. He's trying to gain maximum points. But Bernie Salzberger, there, the Rally GAC rider, also trying to take points from him.
Well, there we are. They are just crossing the start of the second of the King of the Mountains climbs, the peloton. And the distance between them, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So in that big group there is the leader of the King of the Mountains, Pablo Urtasun, the Spaniard, and we will expect him to be trying to make a move to win the points at stake at the top. Confirmation again then of this quintet of leaders that gave the peloton the slip after a lot of early action on the way to the first Yodel sprint in Hoik. The race was in an angry mood from kilometre 1. Team Sky on the front, Bradley Wiggins, fully concentrated, that relaxed style of his with his hands on the centre of the bars. He really is a superb climber. And of course, a lot of that preparation for his climbing done at altitude in Tenerife on Mount Tidy, where he had training camps there, living a little bit like a hermit, but it certainly has proved to be exceptionally profitable. Number 92, Peter Hawkins, he's the leader of the Tour of Britain on the road because he's only 11 seconds behind the IG Markets Gold jersey holder, and that's Boy Van Poppel. Hawkins 10th overall at 11 seconds, so he's the man leading the Tour of Britain at this stage of the competition. A long, long, windy road in front of them that takes them nearer and nearer to the summit.
Again, good tempo set by these 5 riders, all trying to set themselves up for the top of the climb. Christian House most certainly going to want to take maximum points here.
Interesting here, Rob, that if Christian House does get to the top of this climb first, 10 points will take his tally to 41, and the overall King of the Mountains leader, Urtasun, has only got 4 points more than House, and there aren't enough points at stake as we look at the Saltaire fluttering there in the breeze. The patriotic Scots are out here in their droves on the side to watch. Here's an attack by Christian House. He knows that the 10 points is going to be so useful for him. The rider from Rafa Conda has gone, and he's been pursued very, very speedily by the rider from Raleigh, but it's Christian House that takes the 10, and it's the same man that took the first one second, Bernard Sulzberger.
Great move there by Christian House. I don't know whether he knew that climb was there. I don't know if he can see round bends, but he certainly outwitted Salzberger there. He just left it a little bit too late, the Australian rider there.
Well, Salzberger's making a fist of this, isn't he? He got the 10 for the first sprint. Here's the way it unfolded. Well, that's the perfect textbook way to attack. Jump from the back of the group, the element of surprise. Salzberger reacted, but already you see Christian House had established the advantage, and he looked back, he said, well, you beat me to the first climb, but you're not going to beat me to this one. So Salzberger's second for 9, but Christian House gets 10. Now then, they're on the descent. Now then, I can see rather wet patches here. Rob, vigilance will be the order of the day.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a fairly decent road at the moment. It's quite straight, but you never know what can happen on these roads. A lot of wet and rain obviously coming down off of the slopes. Cattle grids here. Extreme caution on cattle grids.
Absolute stunning scenery here then in this part of the world. And of course it is ideal racing countryside. Now then, the man with the problem on his hands is Urtasun at the head of the peloton. 3 minutes and 23 seconds. And you see we're looking at the jersey here of the rider from Escatal Escadé. And of course in that team is the leader of the King of the Mountains, Pablo Urtasun. Now if he gets first to the summit of this climb, then he will pick up, I can tell you, 5 points, and that will take his tally to 40. But already Christian House has got 41 because he's picked up a 10 for the second sprint. So the leader of the King of the Mountains at the moment is going to be Christian House, and that man sitting second wheel knows he's got a problem on his hands today.
Yep, Urtasun being led out by Samuel Sanchez at the moment. His teammate, he's got another rider coming up towards him just to try and help him out. He needs to just try and mop up as many points as he can. If he can cross the line before any of the other guys here from the peloton, it won't do him any harm whatsoever. Plenty of climbing left in this year's Tour of Britain.
One more big climb to come. It's a second category affair. That comes after 63 kilometres. But the team from Spain have been put on the back foot by this move here by the 5 leaders. Let's not forget Richard Hanley as well of Rafa Conda. He's actually on 29 points, so he's a teammate of Christian House, and he could spoil the party here for Urtasun if he gets involved in the charge for the line at the summit.
Yeah, the Rafa Condor riders all lining up now. Just in 4th, 5th and 6th place. Making sure that they try and deny Urtazan of any points that they can take.
Well, we're getting near the summit because the Saltaire fluttering in the breeze tells us that the line is not far away. Now, let's take a look at the sprint at the front. We can expect to see a blaze of orange jerseys. And with the orange jerseys, should be leading out the King of the Mountains at the moment, Urtasun. Yeah, here he comes over the line first. So he's actually crossed the summit of the climb in 6th position, which has given him 5 points. And if you add the 5 to... he's 35, he's got 40, so he's 1 point shy of Christian House in the contest for the leader of the King of the Mountains. All to play for and one more climb to come. Well, you're looking here at the leading group of 5 as they're getting nearer to the start of the final climb of Grey Mars Tail, a 2nd category ascent, as the weather is turning a little bit inclement. Heavy showers now starting to form, which is making the racing pretty uncomfortable. Let me tell you, the leaders are approximately 4 minutes ahead of the chasing group, and right on the head of the chasing group are the team of United Healthcare, and they've been working very, very hard for the last few kilometres, and they're looking after the interests, of course, of the IG Markets Gold Jersey leader, Boy Van Poppel. This is the back of the peloton, but once we do get a shot of the front, as riders are calling for racing capes and gilets because the weather is really turning bad here. Heavy shower. There was a real heavy shower a couple of kilometres ago, and of course for the riders who don't have any protection, short sleeves, etc., then of course it's pretty uncomfortable. As we come back to the peloton, Bradley Wiggins on the right of our screen starting to work his way nearer to the head of the field, and most of the Sky team are there as well, including Mark Cavendish, who's deciding he's going to put on a gilet, and he almost collided with one of his teammates in the process.
Extremely important to keep the warmth in the body on days like this. They can really do without catching a cold, and when it's wet and the wind coming across, it's extremely important for health.
The testing climb in length here, of course, it's 2.7 kilometres long. As Christian House on the front knows he's having another really good day at the office, already taking back that Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. Now he wants to just reinforce his stranglehold on the competition, because behind there's only 1 place left, and obviously Urtasun will be trying to get that, but it's only 1 point, because it is 6 for the win here on the 2nd category ascent and 1 for 6th. So they certainly did catch the Spanish team napping when this group nipped away. And there it is, the start then of the 3rd and final climb of the day. Grey Mars Tail, a 2nd category ascent, 2.7 kilometres long.
Slightly less in length and slightly less in gradient than the previous climb, which is why it is that 2nd category climb.
Let me just reinforce the points available on this ascent. It's 6 for the winner, and the 6th place will just get that 1 point. So Christian House now leading this competition with a 1 point advantage over Pablo Urtasun. And another consideration today, Rob, apart from the inconvenience of the distance and of course the climbs, of course it is the weather conditions. I mean, it's a bit like April showers here, so you're on a dry road 1 minute and then you're on almost a skid pad.
Yeah, typical British weather, isn't it? 4 seasons all in one day. We've had sun, we've had the rain. What else is to come? Sleet and snow, no doubt.
Never know, but it's one of those sports that takes place regardless of the weather conditions. Now there's just a sense of urgency beginning to creep here in the business end of the peloton. As you can see that the leg speed is increasing, so they are trying hard to raise their game. There we are, the peloton now just starting the ascent. There it is, the sign for you that indicates the start of the 2.7 kilometre climb. Beautiful landscape, wonderful landscape, just stretching out in front. Perfect geography here for the race.
News over race radio. 3 minutes 20 now the lead is brought back to, so a good tempo being set here by United Healthcare.
They're doing a good job in trying to limit the gains then of this group. And when you think about it, once they've crossed the summit of the group here at 63 kilometres in a stage of 152, they've got about 90 to try and hold off the charging, marauding field, and I think that's a big ask, actually. There he is, Williams. He's already had a fruitful start then to this third stage by winning the first sprint in Hoyk, picking up the 5 points, so he's extended his lead in that competition to 5 over Martias. And it's also proven to be a fruitful day, of course, for Christian House, because he has recaptured the lead in the King of the Mountains, and he's now looking set to add more points to his advantage.
The Australian rider here from Rally GAC, Bernie Salzberger. Here we can see the whiteboard. That's exactly the information that the riders at the front of the peloton are getting.
Well, obviously on the mind of Cav will be the fact that he won the sprint here in wet conditions at the Tour of Britain last year. It was stage 1, and Cav was over the line first, and he was over the line first in the last stage as well in London, so he provided the bookend victories of the Tour of Britain last year. Now then, we're getting nearer to the summit of the climb, and once again it's the two main contenders for the points. Christian House trying to hold off the challenge of the speedy rider from Raleigh, and he's not going to do it. So over the top of the climb, it's Salzberger that takes the maximum points of 6, and it looked like Christian House was going to come over the line second for the 5. So Salzberger's really getting involved in this competition. But Christian House with those 5 points to add to his overall tally of 41 means he's the leader. Let's have another look at this. Christian House, oh, he slipped a gear. That was the reason that Salzberger profited from that. He looks as though he's got the better sprint, Salzberger, but Christian House definitely slipped the gear there. So the rider from Raleigh coming over the line to take the 6 points, and Christian House just coming over behind for 5.
Yeah. Both riders fairly evenly matched in the sprints. Bernie Salzberger, former Australian Criterium champion. But yeah, that slip gear there for Christian House certainly put pay to him taking maximum points there. Starting the descent now. Technical descent on these wet roads. We'll see what happens. A few twists and turns.
Have another look at this, Rob.
Yep. Christian House there, he had to sit down. He took the sprint up, the gear jumped, and he had to sit down again, which lost him momentum. And Bernie Salzberger there on the left-hand side, Rally GAC rider, able to just come up the inside of him. Christian did the right thing. He moved across the road just to try and block Salzberger slightly. Nothing untoward there. That's a normal move, but no chance. He realised and he sat down just to save energy. He knew there was no point in trying to get back past Salzberger. Here we can see them on the descent now, wet descent. They can't see all the roads down on the the right-hand side of the road. That's certainly not where they want to be looking. They need to be looking round the bend, just looking at the road in front of them. They don't have a lead motorbike at the moment, which is normally how you spot the road.
Now here are the riders from the Escatel team, and they're looking after, of course, Pablo Urtasun. There he is, he's got a racing cape on. Urtasun is second place, but there's an attack also in the wheel of Urtasun from the Rafa Conda rider. Couldn't quite get round. Can he get round? It doesn't look like it, no. Urtasun takes the 1 point available, so he's still determined to try and stop the King of the Mountains being given to Christian House, which obviously lifts his tally up. So he gets another point to add to his collection, but the King of the Mountains today will be awarded to Christian House. So there's a little bit of chat going on there as Urtasun on the left is just communicating with the teammate of Christian House, but Urtasun picked up the 1 point, so he will remain in second place overall in the King of the Mountains. But the new leader in that Skoda King of the Mountains competition is Christian House.
Welcome back. In the second Yodel sprint of the day into Lochmadden, Pete Williams claimed maximum points ahead of Peter Hawkins, Bernie Salzberger and Christian House. 15 kilometres later, the lead riders entered Dumfries for the first time before heading out on a 30-kilometre loop. Again, Pete Williams adding 5 points to his sprint tally, ahead of Hawkins, Wesley Crader and Sulzberger. Williams now 15 points ahead of second-placed Ronnie Martias in the overall sprints classification. But the pace of the chasing peloton proved too much for 3 of the 5 breakaway riders. Williams, House and Sulzberger caught with 22 k's to run. 8 kilometres later, Garmin Sharp's Sepp van Marke, a serious GC threat, launched a blistering attack. He joined Wesley Crader in the lead, and that ignited the race.
As once again we sight Bradley Wiggins in that characteristic style of his as he sweeps past the Irishman Peter Hawkins. Hawkins going right down the line here, and the way he's going back, I'm just wondering if the peloton are going to sweep past him.
Well, this is going to be a last-minute effort now by Team Sky. Bradley Wiggins cool, calm and collected on the front. Jeremy Hunt in his wheel, just gritting his teeth, as is Sepp van Marke here on the front. I've got a feeling that Wesley Crader, his legs have just gone. The effort that he's done today, he's been away all day.
He's run out of steam, hasn't he?
I really don't think he can give any more work into this breakaway.
And this is where Sepp van Marke could really do with some assistance, because he's made the big effort to get across the gap. And look at Jeremy Hunt again. Hunt has taken over the pace setting now from Wiggins, and they really are having a go here, aren't they? Canasi's up there as well.
Yeah, Canase there in third, and then United Healthcare up behind him, and then a few riders back is Bernie Eisel looking after Mark Cavendish there. I would say resplendent in his white jersey, but it's no longer white, it's grey from the dirt and the grit coming off the road as Jeremy Hunt takes up the pace.
Yep, here it is, the team time trial lined out. Hunt's right on the front, Wiggins second wheel, and Canase sits third. Then there's inevitable presence of the United Healthcare with the IG Markets gold jersey tucked in, and you can see the right, or you can just see the left shoulder of the World Championship jersey of Mark Cavendish. 8 kilometres to go, 5 miles of racing to tidy up this stage 3 of the Tour of Britain, that's bringing the riders from Jedburgh right down here to Dumfries.
These 2 riders still riding exceptionally well. Sepp van Marke putting all the effort in that he can to try and stay clear, take time out of the peloton. Not only that, the 10 seconds time bonus obviously on the line for first place.
6 for second and 4 for third. They are going to be very, very useful indeed, Rob. It is very, very close, isn't it? Let us not forget that the bonus is picked up earlier in the day, that Luke Rowe, with that 3 seconds he swept up in the first Yodel sprint in Hoik, meant that he was tying with Boy van Poppel. So also up there as well is yesterday's stage winner Lee Howard, who started the day on the same time as Boy van Poppel, and also in the shake-up we've got Mark Cavendish and Russell Downey still on the front. Sky, and look at Wiggins. Wiggins really gritting his teeth here, the Olympic time trial champion from London.
Yep, the first sight of his teeth coming out there, that's certain signs that Wiggins is trying hard. He's digging deep. He's going into that crouched aerodynamic position, just trying to eke everything out as Christian Nice sat in his wheel, gets ready to take up, as 3 of the riders there, the young riders from the Great British squad, all try and move themselves forward. That's great signs for them, great learning ground, and my word, what a tough race they've got here on their hands.
Just look at that for a shot, fantastic as they thread their way through that artery of road in the forests as they get ever nearer to the finish. Crader and Vark tenaciously clinging to this advantage. Can they hold them off? It is a real big ask. The peloton really boring down on them now as we once again see the familiar colours of Sky at the front.
And it's Nice on the front now. He's taken his turn as they sweep up that rider from Sao-Sajan. Didn't come to anything, did it?
Well, our Sky got to nail this stage. They've already had 1 stage victory, and that came on the opening day of this year's tour. Are they going to get the second one here in Dumfries? Flick of the elbow again, you saw there for Van Marke, but I'm afraid he's not giving him any assistance, his breakaway companion, is he? And that, of course, is Crader. Crader's legs must be absolutely burning.
Yeah, the day that he's had, they're on a big downhill section here in top gear. Travelling 60, 65 kilometres an hour minimum now, really trying to go as fast as they can, try and make the most of this downhill descent as Bradley Wiggins gets back on the front. Just look at the speed that his legs are going around.
Spinning that gear, isn't he? But it's not coming down easily, Rob. I tell you, they're making a real fight of this. They're putting the peloton to the sword, and Wiggins, look at that in that crouching style. He flicks the elbow, and his teammate comes through to take it on.
It is just starting to come down now as the road just starts to flatten off a little bit here. Small protection from the trees from the wind, but not a lot.
Just something to consider here as well, Rob. If these two can make it into the twists and turns of Dumfries, they will have an advantage over a big peloton on those awkward, greasy corners.
Well, that's the thing. If these roads were dry, it would be a lot easier for this peloton to bring them back. But with these conditions, these two riders are making the most of that, as Nice really does start to pile on the pressure on this section of road here. He's stuck everybody in the left-hand gutter, just trying to give his own riders as much protection as possible, but everybody else trying to stay out of the wind and in the wheels is making their job so much harder.
The 31-year-old German then, Knies from Germany on the front. But I tell you what, they're really offering stubborn resistance, these two at the front. It's a brilliant effort by Seb van Mark, the Belgian, on the Garmin Sharp team, and Wesley Krieder of Vacon Soleil.
Orica Green Edge now coming to the front, and big Magnus Backstead for Team UK Youth. So Team Sky, they're getting a helping hand, so it looks now like they get the help that they need. And this break here, Sepp van Mark, I'm pretty sure it's all over for them pretty soon. They're going to be brought in now, that I'm fairly sure.
So Belgian and a Dutchman then here at the front, holding off the big field at the back. 3.3 kilometres to go. He looks back, the Belgian Van Mark. He said, I made the big effort to get up to the leaders. Now then, is it going to pay off? That camera shot actually foreshortens the distance, remember. It's still over 10 seconds, but you get the feeling that it's going to be all wiped away. 3 kilometres to go. Here come the field now.
Team Sky yet again take over from, look like Hepburn from Orica Green Edge. Bradley Wiggins in that typical crouch position of his, trying to give as much as possible, with big Maggie Backstead in his wheel, ready to apply the pressure for Team UK Youth.
So near, yet so far. Just look at this. The advantage now is beginning to evaporate. They're getting nearer and nearer the perfect time to make the catch. And the junction looks as though it's going to be made with just about 2.5 kilometres to go. He looks across Krieder as much as to say, well, we tried valiantly, but we couldn't do it. That's big Magnus Backstead having a go.
That's it, 2.5 kilometres to go, and Maggie is putting the pressure in. He really is applying the pressure and the power and the speed.
Well, now then, look at this. The former winner of the Paris-Roubaix still got some fire in his belly here as he tries to go clear.
On this section of road
2 kilometres to go. Sorry, Rob.
No, I'm just saying, it looks like the peloton is starting to split up there on this tougher section of the road. It's just starting to creep up a little bit. Really is doing a good job, and there he has. He's swung off, and that's it. That's his effort done for the day.
Now 1.7 kilometres to go, and it's Team Sky that really are beginning to take a stranglehold on the sharp end of the contest here. It's Knies right there turning the screw, and right up there with him is Eisel, and also Bradley Wiggins is there in the mix. They're all looking after the interest of Mark Cavendish, but also coming through on the left of our screen. Looks like Zach Dempster to me of Endura.
It is. It's Dempster in the black and green for Endura. Where is his rider? Don't forget Russell Downing there. He's not in that typical green and black jersey. He's in the blue and white, because he is holding currently, he's wearing, there he is, in that chain reaction sprints jersey. Points jersey, sorry.
No, that's right. He's wearing the Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey. Is Russell Downing, if you're looking for the familiar colours of Downing in the Endura strip. Now then, it's still Sky on the front. Now then, Endura starting to come through in the mix there. Is that Zach Dempster? A bit of nudging there. Look at that. A bit of shoulder work going on. 1 kilometre to go. They've gone under the red pennant. Now then, look for the approach to the line here. Is this going to be a stage victory then for Team Sky?
It looks like Bernie Eisel on the front, ready to take over is Luke Rowe, and here he goes. He shuts the road down. He's gone to the left-hand side of the road. He's got Mark Cavendish there on his wheel with 2 Orica Green Edge riders behind him, and Russ Downing is just moving back to 5th.
Sky on the head of the contest then, giving Cavendish the perfect lead out. Remember, Mark Cavendish won the stage here 12 months ago. Is it going to be Mark Cavendish again as they come into the finishing straight? Here comes Mark Cavendish, the Manx Express in the World Champs jersey. This is Cavendish at his best. Up to the line, the victory salute. Mark Cavendish takes the stage here in Dumfries. What a fantastic finish. Well, they got it absolutely spot on, didn't they, Team Sky? They worked hard, finally getting the 2 breakaway riders pulled back in the closing stages, and then Mark Cavendish with the perfect delivery.
This is what he's about. Mark Cavendish could never have left the Tour of Britain without at least doing this once. The rainbow jersey a little spattered with Scottish grime, but a ray of light between the showers of stage 3. He takes the win. Yesterday's winner Lee Howard was a distant second this time, with Lithuanian teammate Aidis Kruopis in 3rd. Luke Rowe managed 4th, this time without a split. Russell Downing in 6th. In fact, 72 riders finished in the same time.
I knew the finish, tailwind downhill, and you could go pretty early, but I just had a perfect lead out, you know. Luke was so fast at the end, Bernie before him, and then Brad just kept us strung out before that. Like, it was pretty textbook actually, so you know.
Howard edges Mark Cavendish for the overall on count back. That's the higher average placing. Boy Van Poppel drops back to 3rd at 4 seconds on the same time as Luke Rowe. Ross Downing's at 12 seconds, and Garmin's Sepp van Marke is in 9th place at 16 seconds. 17 riders are at 17 seconds, including John Tiernan-Lock and Bradley Wiggins. No doubt about the day's winner. This time it all worked for the world champion. A victory to match his 2011 triumph in Dumfries. There must be something in the air, apart from pelting rain. Christian House has wrestled his Skoda King of the Mountains jersey back from Pablo Urtasun. His lead 5 points, and his target for the Tour locked on. Well, and Christian, that's the second time you found yourself in a break, sweeping up points, and it's job done for you today, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the goal for the day, and it's not easy getting in the break, but managed to get there, and got as many points as I could, and hopefully over the next coming days I can get a few more and manage to hold on to it for the rest of the week.
Pete Williams stretched out his lead in the Yodel Sprints competition to 15 points after 2 wins and a 3rd place. And Lee Howard pulled on the IG Markets Gold Leaders jersey for the first time, the 3rd rider to do so in an intriguing 3-way tussle. Congratulations, Lee. It might not have been your first ambition coming to the Tour of Britain, but you find yourself in the lead. It's an interesting 3-way tussle so far, isn't it, between Luke, Boy Van Poppel and yourself?
Yeah, so far it was a bit unfortunate on the first day. There was quite a big crash. It would have been nice to see, myself and Cav would have finished up. But yeah, as you said, it's a close tussle so far. And but when you look at some of the stages still to come, I think the GC will soon split up.
So Orica Green Edge's Lee Howard there, resplendent in the Gold Leaders jersey of the Tour of Britain. Matt Stevens, 2 sprinters, 2 contrasting fortunes on 2 consecutive stages, him and Mark Cavendish.
Yeah, 2 very exciting finishes. Obviously yesterday in Knowsley Safari Park we saw Mark Cavendish, who we thought would win, slightly mistimed the finish, leaving the door open for Lee Howard to take a well-deserved victory. But then today, obviously Mark had the bit between his teeth. They looked at this finish. He knows this finish from winning here previously. Perfect lead out from ex-gold jersey wearer Luke Rowe to take him into the final right-hander. The Mark just opened it up, put the afterburners on basically in the final 250 to win by a country mile. And I think he really savoured that victory. Important for Mark today to win in front of this crowd in Dumfries.
I mean, Matt, that's why he's come to the Tour of Britain, isn't it? To win a stage in that world champion jersey and show it off perhaps for the last time.
Definitely. We only talked this morning about, there's only a few stages left that Mark could potentially win. The pressure's off now. He's taken a wonderful victory. I think he'll be a lot more relaxed, and I think we'll see him take another one, to be honest with you.
Possibly even tomorrow. But we'll come to that in a second. Christian House, another rampaging performance from him. Not the only British rider on the attack today.
No, we had 4 out of 5 in the lead group, all British-based pros. We had Pete Hawkins from IG Sigma, who picked up the most aggressive rider and won a rather large piece of cheese from Rouleur magazine. Pete Williams, the Hot Spots winner now from Node 4, and Wesley Sulzberg from Raleigh. So a really nice mix. But you know, Christian House, I mean, super aggressive, tactically switched on, and obviously rode to a plan today, and he's still in that jersey.
Well, plenty to digest, quite literally, in the case of cheese from today's stage, and it continues tomorrow. It could well be a big bunch sprint and another chance for Mark Cavendish. A few lumps and bumps, and then pan flat as the race goes from Carlisle to Blackpool. Join us for live coverage at 1:30 and the highlights at the usual time of 7 p.m. Good night.